This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour is brought to you by Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Terrific service department. Quick lane inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. High school roundtable and Bob Flounders today. It's not a bad day at all. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good, good. Almost to the end of the line here on baseball.
Do you think they'll play tonight?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't see anything here that is, beyond what. I mean, it really is nothing. I think they may have a little rain at 5 o'clock, but the game's not till 6:30. After that, they're home free until about 1 in the morning.
Yeah. We're supposed to have a big dumper here soon, like within the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, but you know what? We were supposed to have one here earlier, and it didn't. It's cloudy here and breezy, but didn't come to pass. So, I don't know.
It better rain. I woke my wife up out of a nap to go roll her windows up.
Oh, that's just not good. It's just not good. You look at the radar and you're like, oh, the radar looks rather, interesting. But it's sliding to the northeast. It's not going west to east. It's sliding to the northeast. And so you're kind of out of the range for a while. So, whatever. We'll see. But, yeah, they'll play tonight. I'm 98% sure. And what I'm going to do is what I did last Thursday. I know it's the title game. But after the show's over, I will go to the ballpark. I'll fill out my lineup card, leave everything there. I'll go to practice at 4:30. They're done at 5:30. I'll go over to the field over at Toftree. We have field hockey in the first half hour with LB, and then the next half hour will be with James. I'll then tape the pregame show with James right after the talk show. I'll get to the ballpark, and I'll probably get there around probably the top of the third inning, and I'll take over in the fourth and finish out. I was driving back from Williamsport last night, and I was making the turn from 64 onto 80. And I thought to myself, geez, my next road game is in the Rose Bowl. That's a little different. That's my next road game.
I laughed at the Crosscutters release last night because it said next, June 26th.
June 26th?
June of 26.
Oh, June of 26. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Who do the Spikes end up with in the championship game?
West Virginia.
West Virginia
had a great second half. Not a good second half, great second half. But especially at home. I mean, to be honest with you, their home record in the second half was unbelievable. The road record was okay. They're a little bit under 500 on the road. But because the Spikes won the first half, they ended up hosting the championship game, which is what Williamsport did last year.
I don't think he made the final roster, or the roster was in this last couple of weeks, but there was a kid from East Juniata that was pitching for West Virginia, Daniel Carnegie. He was pitching at one of the Division II schools in West Virginia that is not Shepherd.
Okay. It's interesting because I think that when you look at like the game tonight, it's winner take all. I know everybody, but I know this for a fact. There are only 4 pitchers not available for the Spikes tonight. That's it. Because last night, the Skylar Reedinger kid out of North Dakota State came in the game. He pitched one-hit baseball over the final 5 innings, and guess what? They didn't have to use another. And he only threw 56 pitches. Well, guess what? Because of what he did, nobody else had to pitch, so they're all available tonight.
Worked out perfectly.
I mean, now I think he's a really good pitcher, but man, you want to talk about coming through? He came through. Something I've talked about before, but it bears bringing up again, and it's something that did you see what Michael Wilbon said about having his college football experience ruined? Now, I haven't talked about ruining the college football experience. That I haven't talked about. But, like, all the talk, and, the talking season's the worst season. And it's just like talk. Hey, I mean, of course, what are we sitting here doing for 2 hours a day, right? Well, we also try to have interesting guests on and have a little fun with it. But, as you know, I've railed on this before that for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the youth of the people that work there or the philosophy of the people who work there, but everything at ESPN is the greatest of all time. Have you noticed that? Historical.
It's not just the youth. My brother thinks every movie he sees is the greatest movie he's ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many times you can watch Moana 8.
Yeah, true.
All the unanswered questions from the previous 7. But this is what he said. Are there great players today? Sure. Ryan Williams of Alabama, terrific receiver. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, terrific receiver. In the opening game of the year, Williams had 5 catches for 30 yards. Now, part of that is the coverage. Part of that is the offensive line. Part of that is the quarterback's ability to get you the ball, things like that. And Jeremiah Smith had 6 catches for 43 against Penn State last year. Smith had 4. Name me a catch in the game where you sat back and remember it. I don't remember any. All right? I did the game. And on PTI, he was asked about his overarching thoughts on the first week of the college football season. And he talked about the unrealistic expectations of players like Arch Manning and Jeremiah Smith. He said, and what he said was, here's what stood out to me in week 1 and all the days leading up to week 1. I don't want mass media, major media, networks, including people we like to call our friends, to just ruin the watching of college football, the consumption of college football games by exaggerating the hell out of everything, by overstating everything. Arch Manning is not Peyton or Eli or Archie just yet. Just let them simmer a little bit. Jeremiah Smith, he is not Jerry Rice just yet. I heard somebody I like a lot say he's the best college football player I've ever seen. You know what my recommendation would be? Watch more college football over the last 50 years because he's not the best I've ever seen. This is what I've tried to say on this show for a long time. Todd, you and I have watched a lot of sports over the decades. I've watched sports for more than 60 years. I'm not going to have somebody tell me he's the best, she's the best. That's historical. That's statistically unbelievable. I'm smart enough to look at it and go, that was great. I'm smart enough to look at it and go, yeah, okay. I've seen that before. I mean, it's like there's a lack of respect out there for people's eyes, in my opinion. The people that write these headlines, like a historical stat line. I love those. So then you click on it. I stopped clicking on it because I know now they're worthless. We're talking about dopes that wrote it. I mean, really. I mean, I use the word dope and I mean it. Okay? You read it and and the stat line extends out 3 sentences. Who cares? I mean, Kyle Schwarber hits 4 home runs in a game. That's historical. Wow. Right? I mean, that's historical.
I think I've said this before. One of the old baseball blogs keeps track of those. When they use it, they send them to them when they use them on TV on the local broadcast and stuff like that. And then there's a place on Twitter that if you read our trivia questions in the newspaper, I get a lot of them from, because they're literally all those stats.
Yeah.
Just somebody I think it was one this week was the only player in his first 5 games to strike out 10, not walk a batter, and allow less than 2 hits in both starts or something like that.
Oh my God!
And it's and the other part of it is I also think it's at this point it's he who yells the loudest is heard the most.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really matter what is said. I mean, the Arch Manning stuff, I didn't notice it as much with Jeremiah Smith on Saturday. The one I really noticed was obviously Arch Manning.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the thing I noticed, and it's amusing, is they kind of allow you to believe that it's either Eli or Peyton's kid.
I know.
They never really ever mention that it's Cooper's. They actually mentioned the mother way more in the broadcast.
Oh, brother.
He wanted them to. Because I guess his mom was all conference and volleyball or something, and that's where he gets his speed and stuff from. But
right.
Still, they allow you to believe that it's kind of Eli. It could be it's Eli or Peyton's, and it's actually Cooper's son. And
right.
I think people forget that was his 3rd start.
Yeah, and his first start ever on the road.
Yeah, and in one of the toughest road environments in the country.
He still hasn't thrown a touchdown pass on the road in his career.
Yeah,
but in other words, it's wrong to put him down because he's still scratching the surface. It's also wrong to hype him up
because we have no idea.
All right, nobody knows. All right, Jeremiah Smith is really good. He had a great playoff game. He had a couple of great playoff games. Terrific. Where was he against Michigan?
I mean, at this point, are we sure he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Right. I mean, against Penn State, Emeka Egbuka had a very good day. Jeremiah Smith didn't do much of anything here. Right? Against Michigan, where was he? I don't know. I mean, and then you look at the championship run. He made some great plays in the championship run. But does that make him the greatest of all time? Does it make him the first overall pick of the draft? I don't know. You've got to have a greater body of work before I start thinking things like that. I need a greater body of work to think that. I've talked all the time about in baseball. I've used the baseball example repeatedly. Right? Who has staying power in the major leagues? Guess what? You come out, you get off to a great start, and guess what they do? They get a book on you, and they adjust to you. And the ones that have staying power have the ability to adjust back. That's sports, right? Now, if a guy has a great game, you have people who are writing these things, and I have no idea what their level of experience is. Greatest, incredible, awesome, incredible. And don't take into account that they adjust to you. They get a scouting report. They get a book. They figure out what you can do, what you can't do, and then it's up to you to adjust back. All right? Okay. I mean, how good was Jeremiah Smith on Saturday? He's all right, but he was no better than all right. He also has a young quarterback making his first start. He's got a, and it's simple as that. Arch Manning. I mean, on and on. We try. I realize that they are trying, especially on TV, to hype the game and hype the players so much. They're trying to draw you in so you watch the game. They need you to watch. So I understand the hype part of it, but it's unrealistic. Okay? And what they do is they prey on the ignorant. Well, they don't know any better. We'll just tell them he's the greatest. Right? Then you have people with eyes that have seen a lot of sports in their career, and they sit back and go, he's really good, but have I ever seen better? Yep.
And it's those people that end up sending the messages to the kids that because they lost their bet, because they're listening to hype instead of, for lack of a better way to put it, doing their own research.
I think Aaron Donald's a great player. His body of work is phenomenal. But if I read one more time, he's the greatest defensive tackle ever. I'm like, he's one of them. I mean, he's one of them, but I watched Alan Page play. Looked pretty darn good to me. I watched Bob Lilly play. Looked pretty darn good to me. I mean, there's a lot of guys I've watched over the years that, to me, are in the same category with Aaron Donald. And they don't have some of the stats because some of the stats didn't exist when they played. Right? Just off the top of my head, just named two players. Merlin Olsen was one of the great defensive tackles ever. Right? And I think Aaron Donald's one of the great defensive tackles ever. But to me, it gets hard to a point to name a greatest. To me, he's one of the 10 greatest defensive tackles I've seen. Right? And then here's the other thing that's now become a big problem. And it has nothing to do at all with Arch Manning or Jeremiah Smith. It's not their fault they get hyped. They just have to play. They're not out there blowing their own horn saying, look at me, look at me. Neither one of them does that. And the same thing with Charlie Woods and Bronny James. They have nothing to do with the hype they receive. Zero. They happen to be the sons of two of the greatest in the history of their respective sports, LeBron James and Tiger Woods. But how many headlines you seen lately? If Bronny does anything, we see a headline. Why? Charlie Woods does anything, we see a headline. Why? Let them be kids. Right? It's all right. You know, there have been a lot of players in the history of life that weren't as good as their parents. And then there's Ken Griffey Jr.
I always go back to that in the spring when LeBron was upset with Stephen A.
Yeah.
Do you remember that he said something about Bronny? And I can't imagine either Tiger or LeBron are very happy with the way their sons are covered at this point, because they already went through it, and they know how much it's not great, and kind of, you know, LeBron a little more than Tiger, but for the most part they both came through that stretch as normal as possible. But it's just got to be hard, and it's got to be hard mentally. You know, Charlie Woods is certainly not his father on the golf course.
No, you know,
but we know that he lost he lost a high school match last week, and that's just ridiculous.
Right. And then, you know, Scotty Scheffler's great. He's not Tiger. He's the best player in the world right now. He's not Tiger. It's like, so just like, let it be. Bronny James was where he should have been last year. He was on a 2-way contract. That's where he should have been. Okay? Now, maybe someday we'll see. But I sit back and I see this stuff, and I just wonder, why do we cover sports this way? I mean, we do so little of educating the sports fan so that when whatever show it is, to me it's got to be one of the goals when the show is over. Do you know more about something? And I think that's not the goal these days. I don't think that's the goal anymore. You know, do you know more? That's why I don't watch any of that stuff. All right. Back with more in a moment. Great to have you with us today. Opening half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
A lot has changed since 1915 when the Mertz family began selling cars here in Central PA at Sunbury Motor Company. But one thing that hasn't changed is the Sunbury Motor Company's commitment to satisfying more customers, selling more cars, and providing you with a tradition of trust. Whether you visit Sunbury Motors Ford, Sunbury Motors Hyundai, or Sunbury Motors Kia, you know you're getting the area's best selection and best prices on both new and pre-owned vehicles. SMC's values of hard work and dedication are as prevalent today as they were over 100 years ago. They take pride in satisfying Central Pennsylvania's automotive needs and providing their customers with the best buying experience possible. Come visit Sunbury Motors Ford and Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, or Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. Sunbury Motor Company, owned and operated by the Mertz family since 1915.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
You an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. And Medicare products. They handle it all. They make sure that you're fully insured, but they do everything they can to save you money because customer service does mean everything to them. At Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury, go to purdyinsurance.com. So do we start with the Chief here, or?
We are starting with the Chief.
Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Steve. How about yourself?
Good. 2 weeks, 2 wins. That hasn't happened to Shikellamy football in a while. Was it a better
2009. 2009 is the last time.
Yeah. Todd was a child.
You got it.
But the question is, were they a better football team this week than the previous week?
Yes, they were. I think they played a team that was who had lost the line mountain but played a good second half, and I think that Lewisburg was a good test of their abilities. And you come back and score in the last 2 minutes from 73 yards out. It tells you a lot about the team. They're very competitive. They don't give up. And I think they did beat a better team this week than they beat the first week.
What do you like about this team to this point?
I like their offense. I do. This week we finally got a little bit of the running game going. But the passing game, it doesn't matter where we are in the field, there's a chance that we can score. And it's just one of those things. They're exciting. I like their grit. I like the fact that they have not left anything that would cause the problem or was derogatory in their game affect them. They just come back and do the best they can. And I think that has been one of the best things one of the best teams I've seen in years that can do that.
Concerns to this point, any?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Concerns to this point, are there any?
Yeah, I think on defense we might have one of our better players out, but we're not real deep there. The kids that come into play in those positions have done an adequate job, but I think defense is the one area that would be my biggest concern. A secondary, I'm not too worried about. In linebacker position, I'm not too worried about, but I think sometimes with the down linemen, we got some pretty young kids in there, and that's. But I will say this: I saw a sophomore come in this week, and he was playing offensive tackle, and they put him in at defensive tackle, and I think he had 2 quarterback sacks. So it's just one of those deals. I'll have to wait and see. This week with Shamokin, that'll be a test. It really will, and we'll see how well the defense can play.
So what has this done for the confidence of the kids? Because, look, they've had mixed results over the past few years. What's this done for their confidence?
Well, I think that I think the confidence level is up very high. Like I said, if they get down, they pick themselves back up. I think they feel they can probably stay with everybody. And we've got some big tests coming up. Shamokin, Williamsport, and Jersey Shore the next 3 games. And you're talking about some pretty quality programs. It's one of those things, Steve, that I don't think they're satisfied with what I would call an emotional victory if they lose by a point or 2. I think these kids want to win, and they'll be extremely disappointed if they can't pull a victory out of the next 3 games.
Yet Shamokin is a huge test for them. What makes them so tough?
Well, they have their quarterback back, and they also have 2 running backs that played last year. They lost a tight end, but they've replaced him with a pretty good tight end. Their defense is very, very strong. They've been able to stop. They held Pottsville to very few points, something that I thought was very, very good for them. And plus their experience, Steve. These kids from Shamokin played on the District 4 championship team last year that went a little bit way in state, so they've got that going for them. The good thing is we're playing them at the Shikellamy Sports Complex instead of out in Shamokin at Kemp Stadium. But I think their experience. They've got a kid that plays center and also plays, I call him the nose tackle. That's just a big kid, and he moves well for being that big. And Shamokin they always play you tough. They're gritty kids, and they always have one kid that's got great speed. And if you give him an opening, he can take it to the house for him. And like I said, they're very well coached, and they're solid all the way around.
What does the first quarter and a half mean? In other words, if Shikellamy can get out and after a quarter and a half they're in front, I mean, what does this do? Because success breeds success. That's something that I've thought for years. If you can get ahead early, all right, that's one of the big confidence builders. But the thing with Shamokin is they're probably like us. They probably don't like to lose either, and they'll come back strong. But I think you're absolutely right as far as that first quarter is going to be real important, and I believe that. Well, if you look at Lewisburg, they went down against Lewisburg, but they came back to get close in the second quarter, and again, that revitalized the whole deal. Everybody on defense, everybody on offense, just seemed to play that much better in the second half. It is important. I'm hoping they put the ball in the end zone and get Shamokin a couple of times in the first half. For the fan base, how much fun has this been just to have a start like this? Because it hasn't happened in 16 years.
If you would have seen the last 30 seconds of the game at Lewisburg and looked across at our fans and our student body and our band, I haven't seen anything like that in years. It reminds you of some of these big college games where somebody gets upset and the entire student body runs out on the field. I think it wasn't just the entire student body wanted to get out on the field. I think it was our fans. And like I said, it means a lot. And, you know, we were doing the game on YouTube, and there were in the fourth quarter there were 504 people watching, you know, and that hasn't happened in years. That we've had that many people watching. I think 1,600 people either tuned in or out during the whole game. But to have 500 it means that we got some people out there that are interested. And like I said, these kids mean, you know, if these kids can win 5 games and go 5-5, I think we ought to have a parade for them. I really do, because that'll probably get us a home playoff game, and that'll have something that we haven't done for a long, long time, been 500 or above.
Next step, tomorrow night. Dave, as always, an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much. You guys have done a great job with it so far.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. You have a good call this week, too.
Thank you so much. The Chief, Dave Ritchie. It is a role reversal right now in high school football, Todd. Role reversals at Shikellami's off to a 2-0 start. Normally, that's Selinsgrove. And normally of late, Shikellami's been the one off to the 0-2 start. Now it's Selinsgrove. So what is going now? I know they're playing good teams, but what's going on with them?
You know, two big things is youth, and they really haven't found anything consistently that they do well offensively. Part of that has been the defenses they've played, obviously, but, you know, at some point, you know, for Selinsgrove fans, it kind of reminds me of like 2020, 2021, where the defense was pretty good, but the offense really couldn't generate anything, and the defense would end up on the field too much. And that seems to be what's happening now. Twin Valley really dominated them on the ground last week, and they really couldn't get off the field at all. And now Jersey Shore comes to town, who's 2-0 and has 2 pretty good wins over Dallas and Delaware Valley.
Jersey Shore is interesting because there were a few years ago where it's like, they were very much up and down. What's allowed that program to be consistently good the last few years?
I think you got to go to Coach Tom Gravish. I mean, since he's taken over there, I think they were 1-9 his first year. And Tom was at Bellefonte before, wasn't he? Yeah, and man, I've been doing this long enough. I remember when Tom was at East Juniata in the mid '90s.
Yeah, sure,
but
yeah.
He's done a great job up there, and you know, for somebody that's been doing this as long as I have, you know, I think Jersey Shore had one winning season between '92 and when he took over in the late 2010s there, I think it was 2011, and since then he's turned it around. You know, it's been steady steps. You know, first off it was competing with Selinsgrove, and then it was winning district titles, and now they're a state level program, and it's strange. I think I said it somewhere this week in the newspaper on the podcast. This is, you know, you keep expecting them to take a little bit of a step back, and I thought this might be the year, but now they have a sophomore quarterback is a first-year starter, and he's playing real well. You know, he's a run and a pass threat, and they have just enough back that they have enough experience back, and you know, we're probably looking at, you know, either them or Shamokin in a couple weeks being the top seed and the favorite for the District 4A title once again.
So, what does Selinsgrove need to do to really get on track, feel good about themselves, get something going?
You know, score first.
Yeah.
You know, play well in that first half. You know, keep it close. I think that's, you know, it's a confidence issue, I would assume at this point. You know, a young group doesn't have things go its way for the first couple weeks of the season, and you know that's the biggest part of the coaching staff is, you know. I fully expect Jersey Shore to win this week, and so you know you're going to have to try and bounce these kids back from an 0-3 start. You know, the rest of the schedule, other than, you know, Shamokin would probably be a big favorite against them, but other than, I think the rest of the schedule, they match up at least, you know, a little better than they do the first 3 weeks of the season, and it's just a matter of maintaining the ability of the kids still buying in and still hanging in there after starting out 0-3.
So what game do you have this week? I'm
going out to Juniata to see Lime Mountain and Juniata. We did the cover story this week on the Lime Mountain quarterback, Caden Maurer. He set the school record, career record for passing yards last week.
Wow. Okay. It sounds like a really good game.
Yeah, they're up to number 4 in the state in Class A. Lime Mountain is. They should be. I figure Shamokin, Mifflinburg, maybe somebody else will probably be the teams I'll be following around once districts is over.
Very nice. All right. Take a break. Come back with more in a moment. Bob Flounder's still today on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Purdy Insurance.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Games for the week. And don't forget Selinsgrove on Eagle 107 and Shikellamy on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Very nice. And Penn State football Saturday on Eagle 107. This week it's FIU at noon. We're on at 10:30. It's a little more RPO look. They were actually, I know it's Bethune-Cookman. I got it. It's 42-9. They won the game. They actually gave up more passing yards than I think Willie Simmons wanted. I think like 240 or 241 or something like that. But they had great balance on offense. They had, I think it was 233 yards passing and 223 yards rushing. That's pretty good, statistical balance. So, yeah. Quarterback Jenkins, I think, is pretty good. And I think Owens, the running back, is pretty good. Defensively, Well, we'll see. Games at noon. And the weather is going to be, I don't know. The weather is going to be, I'm not so sure.
Sounds like tomorrow might be the best day out of today and Saturday, to be honest.
Today is actually, like you asked earlier about playing tonight, there may be a little bit today, but it's not really that bad here today. Did it finally rain up there?
It got really dark. It hasn't specifically rained yet, no.
See, that's what's happened here. What's happened here is it got dark, it's been windy, and nothing has really happened. Nothing's really happened. It claims it's been raining here. Hasn't been raining here. Yeah, that's what it claims on online that it's raining here right now. It says 1 more minute of rain. I'm like, which minute did it happen? And I've looked, and with the game tonight, I've looked at the hourlies, and guess what? It looks fine. I don't see any.
Radar says one thing, and you stick your hand out the window, and it says another.
Right. They say there's a 50-50 chance of a thunderstorm at 5 o'clock. It's like a 50-50 chance of a shower at 8 o'clock. Supposedly at 6 and at 7, it's no problem. I'm like, all right. I don't know. And then 9 o'clock, 10, it's all clear. They're playing tonight. It's one last game. And then, when I'm done with Saturday, I will have done 16 games in 19 days between football and baseball. And, yeah.
Are you saying don't call you Sunday?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, and this is something you don't know yet, is that I've got to go to Massachusetts. No, my godmother passed away. And I think it would, I think it's something I should go to. You know? So I can tell you, just so you know, Tuesday's show will be on the road.
Well, all righty.
Okay, just so you know. At least it'll be from a historical area. A lot of history made there. Right? Where do you think the Revolutionary War started? Because it started there, we're here today.
Just so people know, that's a different button on our thing here. I'm not going to Boston with him.
Nah, it's okay. They'd actually rather see you than me, but that's all right. No, no. I actually did see her in April, and when my aunt called me the other day to tell me that she had passed, and that would be her older sister, be my late mother's older sister too. I did see her in April, and when I saw her, I said this to my Aunt Jackie. I said, yeah, I saw her. I said, and typical of most women, when she saw me, she started to cry.
Well, I hope in her case it was at least tears of happiness.
It was. She said, oh, my gosh, I did. Because she didn't expect to see me. You know, it just happened. It was total happenstance. I had gone to Lexington with my son Dan for the 250th anniversary of the first battle of the Revolutionary War in Lexington Green. And, you know, the whole thing took place in the morning. It was really well done. You know, they did an entire reenactment. And I'm walking back, and my aunt's home is only 4 houses off the green where the battle took place. That's how close. And we had to walk down Bedford Street to get back, to take the bus back to get my car. And my cousin Susan lives the 3rd house down, and now my cousin David lives in the house that they grew up in 4 houses down. So they're side by side. And ironically, they're twins. Well, I'm walking down, and David's standing in the driveway. And I looked over and said, David. He goes, oh, my God, Stephen. He says, Ma's here. You got to go see Ma. You know the Boston accents, right? And he says, she's there. So she didn't expect me at all. And so, yes, she was sent into tears. Now, other women cry for different reasons when they see me, and it's not positive for me. Thought you looked a lot better on the radio.
Maybe they just think you're the suit.
I'll tell you, that's quite a man right there, isn't it? Hey, that's the definition of all man, isn't it?
Usually.
We have a lot of people out there laughing. Bobby Flo's coming up, huh?
Next segment.
Can't wait to talk to the great man himself. Don't see him as much with everybody on the other side now.